Buckle up, everybody, because today we're diving headfirst into some real political drama.
Ooh, yeah. Sounds juicy.
It is. It really is. We've got Steve Bannon, a guy you usually associate with Trump and that whole scene.
Right.
Going completely off on Elon Musk. And we've also got Jon Stewart.
Yeah, I love him.
Using a wildfire relief effort to point out what he sees as some serious hypocrisy going on in the GOP.
Okay, I'm intrigued already.
Yeah, so by the time we're done with this deep dive, you'll have a much better understanding of all this tension brewing within the MAGA movement and kind of what it means for the bigger picture, too.
I think what's really fascinating here is how these two events, they seem completely separate, right? Like, on the surface anyway.
Right, yeah.
But they could actually be signs of a much bigger change happening in politics.
That's a really good point.
Like something fundamental shifting.
Let's kick things off with Bannon. Specifically, him calling Musk evil.
Wow. Okay, straight to the jugular.
And not just any evil. He specifically says that Musk is part of the Party of Davos.
The Party of Davos, huh?
Yeah.
That sounds ominous.
It does, doesn't it? Like straight out of a Bond villain's playbook.
Totally. And I think that's the point, right? Like that framing, he's not choosing those words by accident.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is he trying to do there? What's the strategy?
Oh, he's tapping into a very specific kind of resentment, towards the elites, the people at the top. When he says Party of Davos, he's basically conjuring up this image of globalists, the kind of people who are totally out of touch with what regular Americans are going through, making decisions that only benefit themselves, and everyone else is left to deal with the consequences.
Right, yeah, it's like this idea that there's this group of people making all the rules and the rest of us are just along for the ride.
Exactly, and by labeling Musk this way, by lumping him in with that crowd, Bannon is essentially trying to kick him out of the MAGA club, saying, you're not one of us, you're with them.
Okay, that makes sense. But why now? Why is Bannon going after Musk at this particular moment?
That's the million-dollar question. Well, one big thing is Musk buying Twitter,
yeah.
And then his whole free speech crusade. Those things haven't exactly gone over well with everyone in the MAGA camp.
No, definitely not. There's been pushback.
I think Bannon sees Musk as kind of a loose cannon, Someone who could mess up the whole narrative they've been building. There's a power struggle there for sure. But I think it's also about ideology. Bannon represents this more populist nationalist wing, while Musk, at least the way he sees himself, is more of a libertarian, a free thinker. And they both claim to be fighting for the people,
Right.
But their visions of who those people are and what they actually need are like totally different.
So you're saying this clash between them, this fight, could be a sign of a bigger problem, like a fracture within the whole MAGA movement itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the MAGA movement was always this kind of messy coalition, right? All these different groups with their own pet issues and grievances.
Yeah.
And Trump was kind of the glue holding them together, But now that he's out of the picture,
right,
those cracks are starting to show. The big question is, can they patch things up, find common ground again, or is this the beginning of a split that will totally reshape the political scene?
Okay, so we've got this brewing tension on one side. Mm-hmm. On the other side, we've got Jon Stewart. Mm. And he's going after the GOP.
Right, and he's using the LA wildfire disaster relief effort to make his point.
Yeah, so he's basically calling them hypocrites, right?
Exactly. He's using this wildfire situation as a way to look at what he sees as this pattern of inconsistency in how the GOP acts.
Okay, interesting.
He's pointing to specific times when they've been all about limited government, fiscal responsibility. But then they turn around and approve spending on things like disaster relief, which, aligns with what their base wants. So he's basically calling them out, saying, hey, where's your small government philosophy now?
Wow. That's a pretty sharp critique.
It is. It's pointed.
It definitely cuts to the core of a lot of the political back and forth we're having these days about the role of government, and who is actually supposed to be serving. It's interesting, though. Do you see any connection between what Stewart's saying and this whole Bannon-Musk feud we were just talking about?
Oh, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, at first glance, you wouldn't think they're related. But if you zoom out a bit, they both kind of point to this growing distrust of institutions, like this feeling that the system is rigged against regular people, whether it's Bannon going on about global elites or Stewart calling out what he sees as hypocrisy in the GOP. They're both tapping into that same well of frustration and disillusionment with those in power.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, and one that probably resonates with a lot of people listening right now.
Absolutely.
So where does all of this leave us? What does it mean for, for the average person trying to make sense of the political landscape?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is pay attention to these things, these events that seem isolated.
Okay.
And ask yourself, how are they connected? Like, look for the patterns, the underlying trends that are shaping the political scene. Because these divisions, these frustrations, they're not going away anytime soon. And they're going to have real consequences for how we govern ourselves, how we respond to crises, and ultimately who benefits from the decisions being made.
That's a great point. It's not just some abstract political drama playing out in the background. It affects all of us.
It really does.
So before we wrap up today's deep dive, let's do a quick recap. Connect the dots. On one hand, we've got Bannon going after Musk, right? Exposing those tensions within the MAGA movement. On the other hand, we've got Stewart highlighting what he sees as inconsistencies in the GOP. And both of these things, both these situations, point to this growing lack of trust in institutions. But here's the thing that I really want you to think about, okay?
Okay, I'm listening.
Could this be just the beginning? Are these events early warning signs of even bigger changes coming down the line? Because you know what? Politics are unpredictable.
You got that right.
And we need to be paying attention. So keep your eyes open, be critical of what you're seeing and hearing, and ask yourself how these divisions might impact future elections, policy decisions, even just the way our society functions. That's your homework for the next week. Keep thinking, keep learning, and we'll see you back here soon for another deep dive.
See you then.